on this computer. There we go. We are recording. Yay. Okay, so here we are for another live workshop, and it's numerology for tarot readers today. And Sharona's helping me out. Hey, Sharona.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
We're going to talk numbers and just kind of hang out and see how we can use this as a benefit for our readings and so forth. We got Mary Brown here. We got Moira and Ellie. Am I saying that right, Ellie? It's Ellie. Okay, yeah, she's nodding. She has her mic off. And that's perfectly fine. So we'll do a Q&A too, because I'm hoping you guys, when you do these workshops, you can't remember everything, and that's why I rely on, hoping that anyway, that the people attending will have some cool questions that Sharon and I can chew on, and we might have an answer. We might not, we might have to, go look it up. And wow, I didn't think about that, but yeah, so as we're going through this, everybody that's here with us now, take notes. If something pops up, wait till we get through everything, and then when we get to the Q&A, that way you have a note of it and just let us know what the question was. If you're listening to this on the replay, you can still participate too. Send Sharona or I a message and ask a question, and we can maybe add it on to, like, the replays are on posts on the forum on the premium members group, and we can put in comments, right? So we can keep adding information to these workshops and so forth like that. So we wanted to talk about numerology. It was coming up a lot recently anyway, and I think it's we're only in the beginning of some of these workshops, and I just think like it's a great place to start. I mean, there's a reason why my course is called Tarot by the Numbers. I've been teaching it that way since 2004, so almost 20 years. I found out very early on that it was an easier way to learn the cards by breaking them up numerologically. So it's inherent in the cards, the numbers. So the minors are all numbered. Yes, the court cards are not numbered, but we have a solution for that, which we may or may not have time to go into today. That's another workshop. Master numbers and numerology, master numbers and the court cards, sorry. And then, of course, the major arcana is numbered as well. Of course, it goes beyond the 9 numbers all the way up to 21, 22 if you count the Fool as, that can be 0, or it can be the 22nd card. But those numbers all reduce down to a single digit, because we have this thing in numerology called reduction. And no, you do not need to know advanced calculus to do numerology. It's all 1 + 1 = 2. It's really cool. So reduction is all very simple. You have a big number, you add the numbers in that number together, and you just keep adding them and adding them until you get to a single digit. So if you have 21, card 21 is actually a 3 energy. So that's the first calculation. You've already learned how to do reduction in numerology. Write that down. So you want to reduce them down to the 9 numbers, because in classic Pythagorean numerology, and by the way, there are a lot of different types of numerology. We're going to stick with the Pythagorean because it fits the tarot the best. And you're going to add the numbers together to get a single digit, and then you know what the energy is. So if you have a card that's card 18, let's go with 19, because this is another example where it gets interesting, because 19, 1 + 9 is 10. Oh, wait, what do I do now? Well, 1 + 0 is 1. So actually 19 is a 1 energy. And we'll get into those energies in just a minute. In fact, that leads me to numerology in general. What are we talking about here? We in the West have a little bit harder, I don't know, slightly more difficult time with numerology, because we are so set in our heads that it's a quantity of something. So 3 apples or 5 horses, or I don't, we think of, 1 through 9 as counting, and larger numbers like 135 is 135 something, or 98 degrees, we, we're so set in counting, whereas in the East, on the other side of the planet, they already think of it energetically as well as mathematically. So of course we think of Pythagoras, the great mathematician. He gave us the Pythagorean theorem, and this is all 2,500 years ago, folks. And the numbers in numerology go way farther back than that. I mean, there's evidence of sacred geometry, like the flower of life appears all around the entire world, going back 10,000 years. So Pythagoras didn't really invent this stuff. I don't even know if he really invented the Pythagorean theorem or not. No one really knows, because you got to remember, Pythagoras was captive in Babylon for many years, and he learned from the great Persian mathematicians and the Magi. Where have we heard that name before? That's where we get the word magic from. And, remember the story of the 3 wise men, the 3 Magi. And they were astrologers and alchemists and numerologists. Yeah. So a lot of this, I feel it, can't be proven. It's just my theory that Pythagoras learned a lot of this from the Magi. And the great mathematicians, most of the great math originated with the Persians, so he brought it to Greece, and then worked on it and then taught it to his students. And we slap his name on it because that's how it was given out in the West, was, through the Greeks and all of the people after Pythagoras, and we think of it as Pythagorean numerology, but it goes, way back. And so they were simultaneously using numbers to count things and, do algebra, and there's the Pythagorean theorem and things like that. But simultaneously, they knew that the numbers had a quality or an energy to them. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about classic Pythagorean numerology, is the energy of the 9 numbers. And you can think of it as a progression, 1 through 9. So 1's the beginning, 9's the end. And then we start a new cycle again. And that's why we reduce down to single digits, because when you get to when you're at the number 11, you're really at 2. You've really started the cycle over again. And when we talk about a little bit later on, we're going to talk about personal year numbers and the world year number. That's what we're talking about, is these cycles, and there's cycles within cycles. The planet is spinning, and that's how we, hour by hour, but then day by day, week by week, month by month, as we circle around the sun, and then there's smaller cycles going on at the same time in all of that. So I think a great place to start is just to get, and we got to do this really quick, because these are supposed to be short little workshops, and Sharon and I we could probably talk about this for about 3 hours, and not even scratch the surface. It's like tarot. You never stop learning. You never stop learning. But we can give you enough things to get started today. In fact, I got some handouts for you, and you're going to be able to at least calculate some of the numbers. The world year number is easy. And then we're going to do personal year numbers and life path and attitude. And they all come from just the birth date. So if you're for yourself doing a reading for yourself, or if you're doing a reading for clients, if you're going to or are a professional, you'll be able to just say, what's your birth date? And you'll be able to quickly calculate where are they in the personal year number? Oh, that's really weird. Sharona just popped up here again. That was funny. I'm sorry. Gotta cut this part out. But it popped up there. Sharona's in the waiting room. Like, what? No, she's right here. I clicked the button. I think it was somebody else actually coming in, but I'm not sure here. Oh, we got Sharona in here twice. Yeah, something weird's
Check
going
out
on.
one. I'm going to check out one.
Yeah, see if you can pop out one. Okay, intermission in the middle of the workshop here.
No,
Oh,
I don't know what's going on.
don't worry about it.
It's
It's
my
not.
evil twin.
Yeah, it won't hurt anything. But so back to where we were. So we'll at least be able to figure out, okay, where's the client in their personal year cycle, so that gives you a lot of information right away, and then their life path and their attitude and so forth like that. But to start with, let's take a little look at the qualities of these numbers. And it's really kind of obvious, really. This is not rocket science here. So we start obviously with the number one. So let's look at that. One of something, if you're counting, right? But what's the quality of one, Sharona? It's beginnings, right?
It's the beginnings. And when we start something new.
Yeah. So it's also a singular thing. So it's also about self because it's one, right?
Mhm.
So we're talking about self. We're talking about beginnings. There's leadership implied in the quality of it. You can even get senses about numbers just by looking at how they are written. Think of the number one. It's very phallic, and so one tends to be, whereas two has the curves. So two is a very feminine number and one is a very masculine number. So you get a quality feel for the energy right there. But we're at the beginnings. The other nice thing, I learned numerology first. We were talking about this we call it the pre-workshop, because before we started recording, we were going on and on, waiting for folks to come in. And I was talking about that, the one energy and how sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. I heard some noises outside of my room, and yeah, I'm losing my train of thought. Where was I, Sharona? So
We're on, we're on one.
we're still stuck at number one. We're
Stuck
still,
at one.
yeah. So I was saying, how you can just get the quality sometimes just by looking at the number. And so what we were talking about before the workshop started was, I learned numerology first, and then I came to tarot, and it was very obvious to me that the tarot was structured numerologically. But if you're studying tarot and then like in this workshop, you decide to, learn something about the numbers to help with your readings. The neat thing is that especially like the Waite Smith deck with the images on the minor arcana, now you have a visual representation of one. So think of the aces and the magician card. And then for the number two, think of the two of pentacles and, the two of wands. So going into the two energy, now we've got two of something. And so that's more than one. So that's more than one person as an example. So now you got a couple of people or more, so there's an implied energy there of a relationship between individuals. And this can be platonic relationships, work relationships. It could be personal relationships, romantic relationships, relationships with your children, with your parents. For instance, if we think of life paths, if you're a life path 2, they make really good mediators. So there's a sense of the energy. Anything you want to add?
Well, the
Sharona, about
two
two?
is about balance and it's
Mhm.
about bringing together opposites. So I actually learned numerology before I got into tarot.
Oh,
So
you
I
do too.
was
Oh, good.
taught that you have the right side and you have the left side. So it's the balance of the two, the duality.
Right. It's the first time we have a balance because we're starting off with an odd number, one, and then we go to two, and there's a balance, and it's implied in the duality of the universe. And then we go on to three, and now you got three of something. You've got the third thing. And if we think of it in terms of people, we had one person, and then we had two people. Now we have three. What does that make you think about? Mothers and fathers and children. So think of the Empress card. Most of the time in a lot of cards in the various types of decks, it's implied that the Empress is pregnant, and she's often depicted that way. So three is you're creating something new. The two come together and they create something new. And in this case, we're talking about families, obviously. And it's the creative process. So that's why three is an energy of creation. It's also an energy of communication. And so what do they create? Well, they create the fourth thing. So the number four is what's created. Four is structure. And you can get a sense of it right away, just thinking about things that involve four, like when there is four directions, for instance, or four sides. You need four walls to create a room. The four legs on a table, that's the most stable, is when you get to four. Three legs can be really stable too, but four is like really stable, and implied in the four in a three-dimensional would be a square or a cube, and so it's very structured, structures implied with this four energy. And there's a lot more to it though, because you have like planning is implied, and how you can extrapolate the idea of structure onto other things. For instance, a lot of folks that go in the military, for instance, have the four energies somewhere in their chart. And I should mention that just like there's 9 numbers, that there's your chart, kind of like an astrology natal chart. You have a chart of 9 numbers, and we're going to calculate some of them today. But folks that have the four energies somewhere in their chart, especially their life path, they're drawn to structure. So they're drawn to things like the military and serving as nurses and police officers and the Secret Service and other things like architects. Anything that has to do with planning or structure. So give that a little bit of thought. There's something about that though, is you can get stuck in that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but before I go to that, I just want to give you an example. So I am a life path 6, but my attitude number is a 4. And yes, I was in the military. And Mary's here, Mary Brown, and her life path is a 4. And yes, she was in the Army.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. See, this stuff actually works. And I'm letting people into the room here. There's some stragglers are coming in. Hey, welcome everybody that's joining us now. Coming in. Oh, they popped out again. I don't know. Okay, we're having people come in here. So that's the thing that can happen though. You can get stuck in that 4. So you need a way to break out of 4. How do you break out of structure? Well, you gotta have high energy, and you've got to shake things up a bit, right? That's what 5 is. 5 is a number of change. And just think of it. Think of the 5 cards in the tarot deck.
Right.
Chaos is implied. And I got some of these. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I got to mute some of these lines here because I'm getting some background noise here. Sharona, is your line still open?
I
I
think
can hear
so.
you.
You
Yeah, I
can
just
hear
want
me?
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I could hear you. I made sure everything else is muted. Still getting used to these Zoom meetings. So in 5 is high energy, change, and it's also known as the chaos number in numerology. There can be chaos, but you need that chaos. Structure comes out of chaos also. So on the other side, you get to the higher numbers, and that's what we want to get to, is to the higher numbers. But if you get to 4, and 4 is great. Oh my God, you've accomplished something. You've created something with 3. Remember, one comes together with another 1, 2, 3. You create something. 4, you've created something. You've got structure, and that could be a lot of different things. But then we can get complacent. We just want to stay there. I'm comfortable. And we never get to the higher numbers, which is where the real rewards come. So you need that 5 energy to break out. And actually last year was a 5 world year. You think? I don't, those of you listening in archive, I don't know how many years later you're listening to this workshop, but yeah, last year was 2021. 2 + 2 + 1 is 5. Yes, there was some chaos. And now we're in a world year of 6, which is a return to balance and harmony. Remember when we talked about 2 is the first balanced number. We started off with an odd number. Well, here we're doing that again, where we had 5, and now we're at 6, which is 3 and 3. You can think of it that way. You can also think of a seesaw with 2, 2, 2. It's another way to visually look at it. And it's balanced. And so we've broken free of the structure of 4, and we have now returned to balance and harmony. And there's a lot going on with this 6 energy. It's the nurturer energy. My life path is a 6. I'm actually a 33/6. And we say it that way because 33 is the master number. It's the master healer, master teacher number. But we're not going to get into master numbers today, or we'll be here all day. We'll save that for another workshop. But I'm a life path 6 and the nurturer. So these are the people that along with 4s, they make and the number 2 actually too, because it's implied that they're mediators. 6 is great for the helpers, the teachers, the counselors, the tarot readers, the healers, hypnotherapists, Reiki practitioners, the whole gambit. Trying to think of some of the other things that are implied with 6. So it's a hearth. It's one of the hearth and home numbers. If you think of some of the 6 cards in tarot, that'll give you a visual of it. But it's very close to family and those kind of relationships and children and anything along those lines. You have anything else you wanted to add to that? Oh, there's a great example. Look at that. The 6 of Cups. Nostalgia. And what I really like about the 6 of Pentacles you just showed is that he's using that scales. And so he's helping. And there's that implied nurture energy, right? And he's giving back. He might be a wealthy person or a merchant, and he's giving alms to the poor, but he's careful. He's weighing out what he's giving, you see. So that's an implied part of the energy. And then, of course, the Lover's card from the Major Arcana as well. I love this. Sharona's just on it. She's getting all the all the
This is
cards
the
here.
card I'm looking for. That's a 6. Where'd he go?
Yeah. Well, card 15 is a 6 energy, and that's the devil card. But it's this, that's actually the 6 energy. It's because they're, that's the thing with all these numbers. And there's something in tarot called birth cards. And that's how you figure out the birth cards in from the major arcana is the numbers and their reduction. So 6 and 15 are both 6 energy, you know, but it's a God, I'm blanking on the word here, Sharona. It's a spectrum of meaning, you know, and you can think of it as, you know, positive side to negative side. It's really not that.
Choices to bring back balance or harmony.
Mhm. Yeah, because originally the original meaning of the 6 card, the Lover's card, was choice. So after 6, we get to 7. And this is one of my favorite numbers. There, and we forgot to talk more about like looking at the actual number and how it's drawn. We started doing that with the phallic of 1, and then the feminine with the curves of 2. 7, it goes across the heavens, and then across the heavens and down to the earth. And so there's that implication of the intersection between the divine and the created world, you know, the material world. And 7 is considered the spiritual number. And 77, the master number 77, is associated with Jesus, for instance. So someone with a 7 life path is very curious about the answers to the big questions. You know, how does the universe work? How does the law of attraction work? People with a 7 life path or 7 attitude or even a 7 destiny number, they're going to be attracted to astrology and numerology and tarot and anything psychic. They are the natural detectives of the world. And look at that, the 7 of Cups, you know, all that choice, you know, that requires research and choosing, you know. So research is implied, and, you know, what are we doing in the 7 of Pentacles? And by the way, that's your deck, isn't it? I can tell by the color. Yeah, that's the pixie bow. Yeah. So in the 7 of Pentacles, we're looking over the harvest. So we're contemplating, we're reevaluating. And that's what the 7 energy is. There's other things that are implied with that, because if you're doing research and all things like, you know, these are the kind of people that tend to want or need a lot of alone time. So if you're doing a reading with a couple and one of them is a 7 life path or a 7 attitude, and the other person's a 5, what did we say about 5? High energy, right? They want to go ride roller coasters, and their spouse, the 7, wants to sit here and read books at home. Don't bother me. I'm listening to my audibles, you know. So yeah, you can start to get a feel. Are you guys starting to get a feel for the, you know, the energies, you know? And then 8, I love 8 because 8 is abundance. And there's a way you can look at it, because 4 and 4, remember structure 4, double structure 4 and 4 is 8. Look at that. Yeah. See, now if we were still stuck back at the 4 and didn't go through the chaos of 5, we would have never got to the higher numbers. We would not get to true abundance. See, and that's the thing, is when you hit 4 and you get a little bit of success, you have some structure, you've accomplished some things, you feel like you've hit abundance when you really haven't fully hit abundance till 8. So what else does that imply? Well, it implies a lot of things. I mean, finance and so forth. So folks, and by the way, there's there's no gray area with 8. 8 tends to be black and white, you know. So people with 8 in their charts, for instance, life path 8s, attitude 8, destiny number 8, or if you're in an 8 personal year, money either comes really easily to you or it slips right through your fingers. There's no real black and white. I mean, there's no real gray. It's all black and white, I meant to say. These are people where you'll go to their house and it's going to be a shambles, or it's going to be really nice. And on their coffee table are, it's going to be the Wall Street Journal, and finance magazines and things like that. And work and abundance is implied in a lot of the cards, like the 8 of Pentacles. Seeing what else Sharona is going to throw up here. And of course, strength. 8 card. Love conquers all. Yeah. And so then the last number is 9. And endings are implied. 9 is the ending. So if you're in a personal year of 9, that you're at the end of a cycle. This is a time when you should be letting go of things, things you haven't looked at for the last 6 months or 6 years. Clean out the closets, literally and figuratively. Get rid of the relationships that no longer serve you. Belief systems that no longer serve you. Habits, negative habits that are no longer serving you. And the Hermit card, card 9, it's all implied visually there. So what's the Hermit card? Taking a step back.
Taking a step back, but also knowing what you want. So getting your wish.
Yeah. And then starting the next cycle with 1 again. Yeah. And then, 9, because you've gone through all this and you're at 9, it's also implied that 9 are the old souls. Someone with a life path 9, has probably had many incarnations. There's a wisdom with 9. And that's also implied in the Hermit card as well, visually. So there you go. So there's the 9 energies, and you can do more research on that. Of course, you could take my course, Tarot by the Numbers, and we go through these numbers more in depth and all the cards, that reduce to those numbers. So, you're going to have card 19 and card 1 from the major arcana, and then all the aces, and they're all going to be together. And we're going to go through those, and the 10 cards, and then we're gonna go through the 2s and the 3s and the 4s and talk about the number energy, and then also each card. So we go through all 78 cards in the course, but all of this information is readily available online, and you can go to YouTube and look up individual numbers. You can do a Google search and learn more about the 9 numbers, but one of the big takeaways is that you can use this information in your readings. So our last workshop was how to give great readings by Deborah Zaka. Sorry, Deborah. And she talked a lot about numerology, which really surprised me. And I was like, wow, talk about synchronicity. Isn't Sharona and I doing a numerology workshop next week? And she was talking about how that's how one of the ways she gives really great readings, and she's assured at giving great readings because she starts with the numbers. She gets their birth date and calculates out some of the numbers. I do that as well. I do an actual full 9 numerology chart for my client, create a full report out of that with the chart and breakdown of each of the 9 chart numbers and what those numbers are for them individually. And sometimes what they're going to ask in the session has to do with a spouse or a boyfriend, girlfriend, something like that, or even boss or kids or what have you. It could be anybody, and we can do their chart too, and we can compare them. And so I send all this to my client before I get onto the Zoom call like this. What happens is, more often than not, a lot of their questions are already answered by the numerology report. Makes my job easier, right? But also it brings up other questions, or they take the questions they had and they're able to, rework them a little bit and have better questions, especially if some of it was answered by the numerology report and the numerology chart. And it's like, oh, that's why I'm that way, kind of thing. And we then go through the numbers, and then we pull the tarot cards. And while we're pulling the tarot cards, we're then able to look for those numbers. Often their life path number, like I'm a 6, so 6 cards might start popping up. So if my client's a 6 or a 4 and lots of 4s are popping up, that's going to inform me. Typically I'm not a one spread guy, where I just do the Celtic cross. I'm doing, pulling 5 cards, and then I'm pulling 3 cards over here and 3 cards. And then another question comes up and I'm pulling a few more cards, and all along I may be seeing, various cards from their charts popping up as well. And then we're also being informed by their personal year number. As I said earlier, if we know where they are in the 9-year cycle and then look at what their question is or questions, we can help them along with that then, sometimes in the report, and I'm telling them what their personal year number is and the world year, because you have to look at that energy too. And then what all that means, that answers a lot of the questions for them. It's they know, oh, I'm in a personal year of 5. Okay, so we're not signing the contracts, we're not buying the next house, we're not getting married, we're not having children in a 5-year. Don't do it. Wait till the return to balance and harmony in 6, or the abundance of 8, or new beginnings. 1 years are great for those kind of things. Starting a new business, buying the car, the washing machine, the new house, starting a family. That's just, one example, knowing where they are in the personal year cycle is really going to help. And then if there's anybody else involved in the reading, such as, their spouse or someone like that, or maybe they're having issues with their coworkers or their boss, and we can get their numbers, because to do the whole chart, you have to get their birth date number. You have to get their birth. You have to get their birth name from their birth chart, the name they go by now, and their birth date. There's a lot more to it, but it's easier to get their personal year number, because if you can get their birth date, most of the times you can. That's easier to get. And then where they are in the cycle. So now you can look at, okay, I'm here in my 9-year cycle, and they're here. And when you go and get the cheat sheet, the PDF, you'll be able to look up, a 9 personal year. Another thing about the personal year PDF, when you look at that, the same things that are being said about each personal year can also be applied to the world year number. So that's why there's not a separate cheat sheet for world year, because it's the same thing. It's the same thing as the personal year. So we're all under the world year energy. And then each of us is in a 9-year cycle based on our month and day of birth, which is our attitude number. We're going to get to that in just a sec. And add it to the world year number. And that's what your personal year number is. And so when you're born, the year is your year of birth. Yeah. So it's the whole thing added together, and that's going to be your life path, of course, but also it's where the personal year cycle starts. We don't all start at 1. We start in the middle sometimes, or towards the end, when we're born. It's very fascinating stuff to look at. And the neat thing about it also is you can do this for yourself. You can do it for your clients too, but more for yourself is you can work backwards. You can go back. Okay, I just found out I'm in a personal year of 5. Oh, last year was a 4, and the year before was a 3. And as you go back 9 years, 9 years, 9 years, you start to see things. Oh, that thing happened to me, and I was in a personal year of 8. And that's why all the money was flowing nicely that year. It's just fascinating stuff to just look at the numbers, and also it's evidence. You get to go, oh my God, this stuff actually works. So there you go. Let's see. So we did the 9 numbers, and I talked a little bit about, how it's going to help you with, great readings. Oh, and we said informing the client. I forgot to say informing us. Yeah, us as the reader. So you just did their whole chart and made a report and sent it out. Now, of course, not all of you are going to do that. Maybe you just took their birth number. Birth date, and calculated out life path, attitude, personal year. But now you know the person you're working with. You know certain qualities about them, their attitude, their life path, which is implying what they should be doing. Maybe they're not doing what they should be doing, especially if they're coming to you for a reading on career. That's really valuable. It's like, they're trying to do this, but they're actually a 4. And it's like, yeah, no, that's not going to work for you because you like structure, things like that. It's just so powerful. It informs the reader, and you're able to not just look for these things in the cards and look at the numbers, but you're actually able to get a feel before you ever get on the call or the Zoom conference or the Skype or what have you with the client. Or if you're doing an email reading for them, it's like they're right there in the room because you just did their numbers. And you know who you're dealing with. And if they're asking questions about their spouse and you do their chart too, you know what kind of person that is. And you can see the dynamic between in the relationship. And this is all before pulling any cards. It's so much easier because you already have all the information. You didn't have to pull cards and figure it out. So now as you pull cards, it's so much more clear. So much more clear. Let's see if I missed anything else on here before we get into the calculations. One last thing I wanted to mention, and this goes hand in hand with what I was just talking about, is added value for your sessions. This is really powerful. Added value is adding something to what you're providing, increasing the value and the worth of the overall session that you're doing. Of course, pulling the cards and doing the actual reading is powerful enough, yes, and definitely worth it. Do some searches on thetarotguild.com for pricing your services. We've done some radio shows, we've done some Zooms, and I even did an article on this because we're all underpricing our services. We're undervaluing ourselves, But things like numerology can add value to your sessions because, what did I just say? We're making a whole chart and report and sending it out to them in an email before we even do the reading. That's added value. They're not even expecting that maybe. If you don't promote that, and they book you for a reading and you send them their numerology and they're like, oh, they've already gotten something of value and something to read through to prep for when you actually do your live session or before you send their email reading or however you're doing the reading. So it's added value. Oh gosh, it's just so powerful to me, and yes, you can charge more because there's more value. They're getting a lot more. I charge in the, I actually have to go to my page real quick here on the Tarot Guild site, because I recently changed this and I want to make sure I'm not giving out the wrong stuff here. And you can order custom numerology reports from me separate from the readings, right? So I do one report for $59 and then I do 2 reports for $79. And so in the 2 reports, that would be like you and your spouse, you and your coworker, you and your kid, whatever. It could be anybody. And what's happening there is I'm able to do that analysis between the 2 charts and everything like that. So if you're, I'm charging $79 for 2 charts. And if I'm including that in the reading, isn't that a lot more valuable then? So there you go. I just wanted you guys to get that. And then we're going to start wrapping things up here and doing a Q of A. We want to get into, calculating these numbers here. And we're going to do the world year number, personal year, life path, and attitude. I'm going to try to share my screen here. Let's see if we can do this. I gotta click off my old page here that I had up, and screen share. And then you guys can tell me if you're getting the screen. Okay. Sharona, everybody, are you guys seeing this?
You went back to,
Moira's getting it. She sees it.
I see the guild page.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to see. I'm actually sharing my desktop here. Here we
Okay.
are on the Tarot Guild website, and we are on under groups. We are on the premium members group. I also wanted to show you guys this how easy it is to use this. So, not just for this workshop, and we're going off. I'm showing you where the PDFs are for the cheat sheets, and we're going to start working on the numbers a little bit. I also wanted to show you this just so, for the future, how you find out about our workshops and get the Zoom access link. Because sometimes people, I've been trying to remember to, like today, I emailed it out to all the premium members, but you can always get that ahead of time here. And you see all these pages up here on the group. Of course, it's going to look a little different on your phone, but here's the home when you get right onto the premium members group. You can look at other members, the forum, workshops, Q&As. Here's a great one on customizing your profile. I don't know if you guys knew it, but you can click text edit on your My Page. That's another way you can get to that page, is look for My Page in the navigation up here. And you can customize your entire profile. We also, if you're ready for certification, we have the certification page. And then if you need any help, we have get help right here. You can contact Sharona and me and Mary and everybody on the board. But let's go into the workshops and Q&As page. And on here is a list of all of our Q&As and workshops and so forth coming up. And I'm having trouble grabbing this here. And so what's really neat is after the workshops, the replays are all linked right here. So you can go to the Learn Them On for Tarot Readers, Ethics and Professionalism, the last Q&A. You can go to Corby's Sorting Hat Spread. That was a fun workshop. Setting the Stage by Mary Brown, how to give great readings, and that'll take you right to the page, which is actually located on the forum right here. But we've made it very convenient. You can just go to the workshops Q&As page, just click on any of these links, and it's going to take you right to the page with the video. And then if we click on, like, this one has a date, so we know that, oh, today, an introduction to numerology coming up. Okay, so we click on that, and it's going to open the page in the forum for today's workshop. Now, when you come here after the workshop's live, obviously the video is going to be here, so you can watch the video. But here's your access link. So the Zoom access link, is right there. So all you got to do is go to that workshops and Q&As page, and you can click on any of the upcoming workshops and get the Zoom access link. And then on this page also here's where we have the handouts. And these last 3 are cheat sheets. They are for each of the 9 numbers. And so here, let's click on the personal year number 1. And I know it's a little small here, folks, but basically some of the attributes of each personal year. And as I mentioned earlier, you can use this for world years too, when you're talking about the world year. So it goes through all 9 numbers, and it gives you some information on each number. And this thing is in the way and I can't click off here. Okay, now finally let me off there. And then here's the life paths. So it'll give you information like life path 1. 1s are independent, self-motivated, and hard workers. They have a strong desire to be number 1. They are critical of themselves and as a result can be critical of others. When the 1 life path has won a personal victory, their face radiates with pure joy. Multitasking is something they tend to be very good at, and keeping busy is important to them. 1s tend to be entrepreneurs, by the way. And the 1s will not tolerate laziness from the people they spend a lot of time with, And then let's look at 6, because I'm a 6, and see, 6 is the nurturers. What we were talking about with the energies when we talked about 6. I said nurturers. Yes, this is how this manifests. Okay, so if men, they rescue damsels in distress. If women, they mother their little boy and their men. They should manage or run the company. If everything's going smoothly, they must be careful not to ruin it. God, I know that from my own personal experience. They tend to put people on pedestals, which then they promptly topple over. Yes. And they're very magnetic people. People are drawn to them. They walk into a room and it's just like, ooh. And their moods affect the room. So there's a little bit of, just to give you an idea of what these cheat sheets are about. And when you do the calculations, then you can go to the cheat sheets. But I have this working with numbers PDF here, and that's what we're going to bring up here. I'm hoping you guys can all see this. This is from my course. Now, right here is Pythagorean's square, where he is showing you the numbers from our alphabet and how they translate into the 9 numerological energies. We don't need that for what we're doing today, but you may want to play around with this. You may want to write your name down on a piece of paper and then translate each number, I'm sorry, each letter into a number, and then add all those numbers together, and you're able to get, for instance, your full name on your birth certificate, birth name, your actual original name. That will reduce down when you get to, remember we talked about reduction in the beginning, keep reducing, you get to a single digit, and that's going to be your destiny number. As an example, there's 9 numbers and a bunch of them come using this chart and the person's name, and we're looking at the vowels in their name, the consonants in their name. That's for the soul number and the personality number. And then the destiny number is the whole name. And then you have the name you go by now. So almost no one goes by their birth name, I can't even think of a good one here, like Mary Jane Smith, they don't go walking around, hi, I'm Mary Jane Smith, they go, I'm Mary Smith, or they married, Frank Carruthers, so they're Mary Carruthers now, I mean, no one goes, people go by nicknames. And so this is your power name. So whatever your name is that most people know you by now. So most of us know Sharona as Sharona Rapsik. So we would translate all of those letters into the numbers, add it up, and keep reducing till we get a single digit. And that's Sharona's power name number. Now, there are numerology calculators that make this a lot easier. You can download apps on your phone and your pad and your computer. And I use, if you're on PC, there's Orpheus. I used that for many, many centuries. Now I'm on Mac and I don't have it anymore, and I'm really sad. So I have to do a lot of this by hand and a calculator now. Actually, I've downloaded some apps on my phone, which you can't see because of the green screen. Yeah, I've downloaded some apps on the phone, so I can type in, the client's names and get this information a little bit faster, But this all can be done manually, and like we said, doesn't require any higher arithmetic here, folks. It's just adding things together. So add the numbers of your birth date across. Okay, so we're getting your life path number here, sometimes called your birth number. And so June 16th, 1964, that's mine. And so we're going to add 6/16/1964. We're going to add straight across 6 plus 1 plus 6 plus 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 4. We get 33. And we're going to stop there for a second because 33 is a master number. And that's how I know I'm a 33/6. And numerologists, normally you would just write out life path 5, or life path 6. But if you first get to a master number, 11, 22, 33, or 44, you would write it that number slash the other numbers. So 11/2, 33/6. So I am a 6. I am the nurturing energy, but I am also the master healer, master teacher number as well. But yes, you keep adding the digits together to get a single digit. And so there is my life path number. Okay. Calculating the universal or world year number. We always say world year number. Some people call it the universal year. It's just the date. So in this example, we're doing 2020. I think I did this back in 2019. Yeah, copyright 2019. That's when I actually did this the last time for the course. And you don't even need the zeros. Drop zeros in anything in numerology. You can just drop zeros out, just add numbers, right? So 2 and 2 is 4. So back in 2020, we were in a 4 world or universal year. Now we're in a 6. And I did this longer one from 1997 just to show people when it gets a little more complicated than, we're not going to have to worry about this for a long time because we're in the real easy, 2020s and stuff like that, but if you ever had a complicated year like 1997, it's like you're adding the numbers together. Oh, wait, I got 26, 2 plus 6, always reduced to a single digit. That's what I was getting at and why I did the 1997 example there. So now you know what the energy is. 6, that's that return to balance and harmony after the chaos of 5 last year. Not everybody had that, but a lot of people did. And the whole world is under this energy. But you have your personal year that you're in too. And it gets a little tricky there. That's where the art of numerology comes in, where you're looking at, well, the whole energy is this world year of 6, but I'm in a personal year of whatever that is, right? And the personal year energy is more powerful because it is more personal and direct to you. Okay. So although you're still going to have the influence of the world year number, the personal year number is more important. It's more powerful to the individual, but both are going on. So you're going to want to look at both here. So to calculate your personal year number, we just calculated the universal year, 2021. So 2 plus 2 plus 1, 6. And you're going to add that universal year number or world year number to your birth month and day. So for me, it's June 6 and 16th, 6, 1 and 6. 6 plus 1 plus 6 plus 4. I remember I was back here doing the 2020, right? And I got 17. 1 plus 7 is 8. So back in 2020, I was in an 8 personal year. So that's how you calculate where you are in the personal year cycle. Another way to do it, because right after this, we're going to talk about the attitude number. The attitude number comes from your birth month and day, which is what we just did right here. So to calculate someone's personal year number, another way is you figure out their attitude number first, and you just add it to the world year number. Boom, you have their personal year number. So the attitude number And this is kind of their attitude. It goes along with their personality number, which comes from the consonants in your name. You're basically, this is an outer reflection. When somebody first meets you, they don't know your life path, they don't know anything, but they might like get a feeling about you on first contact, right? And it's usually the attitude energy is what they're first coming into contact with. So mine's a 4. We just calculated that right here. And I think I did that wrong. Anyway, never mind. I'm trying to do the calculation in my head. I'm like, what did I do? Anyway, so yeah, as I said, I'm an attitude 4. And so that's that structure energy. And so they might get on first meeting, they're going to get that impression or whatever my personal personality number is from my birth certificate name, my birth name. Is, whereas things like the soul number is hidden more and the life path comes out later. You start to get a sense for their life path the more you interact and get beyond just the acquaintance stage with an individual. So there you go. That's how you calculate the numbers. It's that simple. It's that simple. So you getting with the client, you don't have to do a full report like I do, with all 9 numbers. You can if you want. And that's by the way, I teach that whole process in the course. So if you're in the course or thinking about it, you'll get all that. You'll be able to do that added value for your clients. But you can at least get these numbers. You sit down with your client, what's your birth date, and you figure it out. It's like pretty easy to do really quickly, even if you're just sitting down with somebody. You could probably do it really quick, especially if you have your numerology calculator, you can just put in their birthday, but these are pretty simple to calculate out. Most of us can do it in our head, but I do like to get the numbers ahead of time and do all the calculations ahead of time. So I already have a feel for them before I get on a call or get on a teleconference with them. And of course, I'm doing the full chart and the full report. So yeah, I'm going to do it ahead of time. So you may or may not be booking with a client and in the email say, send me your birth date. And you can figure that out before the actual reading, or you can do it on the fly. Even if you're doing a psychic fair and you're sitting there and someone walks up and you're doing a reading for them, what's your birth date? You can get all these numbers and get a lot of information. You can even, what I love about teleconferencing, doing readings is I can pull my cheat sheet up right here and no one knows I'm looking at it. It's like, okay, what was life path 3 again? Oh yeah. So there you go. I'm going to stop screen sharing here and come back. We'll all come back in here. All righty. And then let's see. Got to figure out how to unmute everybody. I think it's already set. Everybody can unmute themselves. So if you have any questions, and Sharona, anything else you want to add?
No, I think it's a great introduction, and it'll add a whole new dimension to understanding your cards that you're not going to be at law. You'll know which cards go with which number, and you'll start to discover the patterns, and you start to speak the language of tarot and numbers.
How do you use the numbers when you're working with clients?
Well, I actually look at the number first, and then I look at the picture that's depicted on a card. So if I were to get the Chariot, I look at the 7 first. And, I think of the 7 as far as being balanced and evaluating and testing a situation. Then I start looking at the card, and it's, the picture on the card is going to start clicking with that. So if you think the word, it's kind of like putting in the words. So if you think 7 is focus, evaluation, it's learning to control, and move forward. So it just kind of gives you a way of using the language. And,
Mhm.
I call it, it's makes it easy peasy to read tarot. You're
Right.
never really stuck.
I do think it makes it easier if you're starting out with the numbers,
Yeah, no, I always start with the number
you,
first.
you,
So,
yeah, you sit down, you lay out a spread and look at the numbers first and then the images.
I mean, it's like, if I get like an ace, say if an ace popped up, I think you're beginning something. And then
One.
if you're working with the minor, then you look at the suit. So if you're saying, I'm beginning something and it's in pentacles, and you go, could it be something that's like a physical resource? Could it be money? And, it's kind of like the whole picture starts to fit together. So you draw a 2. And we know that 2s are about balancing opposite things. And here we have 2 swords. So 2 swords, okay, that's mine, that's intellect, that's communication. So 2 things. Are you trying to evaluate 2 ideas? Are you at a crossroads? So the whole picture starts to fit together. Let's grab another one. Uh, say if
Oh,
you grab,
while you're looking for that, real quick, I want to tell everybody, if you got a question, go ahead, unmute your mic. God, I can't talk today. And get ready, because we're gonna ask for some questions here. And go ahead, Sharona.
say you get this card, which is a
Ah.
3. So it's like 3 and it's in wands. So what are wands? They're ideas, work, and inspiration. And we kind of know that 3s have to do with creation and manifesting things and growing things. Because you go, okay, 3, this could be about business. It looks like your business is growing. So, I mean, it just gives you a whole another dimension to work with your cards. So,
And it might mean something completely different to you. So I just want to throw that out to
oh yeah, no,
yeah,
that's what. Well, the thing is, this is
how
what
you
you're thinking
interpret
in
the
you're
energy.
thinking in your head, and also, I always tell people every time you do it with every person, be prepared. You might think and discover something new. So you don't want to be locked into anything. But say if you got the lovers, okay, that's number 6. And number 6 is about harmony and choices. So, this person could be thinking about, choosing a partner or choosing something that brings harmony to their life. So it's just kind of like, you start to get kind of to be fluid in reading your tools. So it's I love it.
So anybody have a question or anything you'd like to chat about in regards to the numerology? Who's got a question? Also, you can type it in the chat if you don't want to come on mic or something like that. I have the chat open if you want to type in there as well. But if anybody has a question, I think you should be able to unmute yourself. Let's see.
I do have one question. I don't know whether it's going to be a little amateurish, but Rona, when you held up a number, a card with a number, did you go by the number on the card's energy, or would you reduce it down to a numerological number that Dax was talking about?
Well, the
Right.
card has a couple different energies going on. You have
Right.
the energy of the number,
Mm-hmm.
you have the energy of the images,
Yep.
and you have the energy actually of the words that are on the card. And then you also have the energy. I like to tell people when you're reading, you have the energy of the whole world. So, if a butterfly flies by or you know, like me, I'm in the middle of New York City and a fire engine goes by, you bring all those energies in. I mean, you don't fixate on strictly the number. It's kind of like you have, you know, all of these different energies that you can work with.
Mhm.
But the number, you know, the number is a good way to start. But no,
But
it's everything that's going on.
to specifically answer your question though, you are going to reduce it down, you know. So if I pull card 21 or card 12,
Yeah, you
I'm
reduce
going
it.
to reduce it to 3.
Well,
Okay.
that's the whole thing. Like there's certain cards, the minor ones are easier because you have 1 through 10. But
Mhm.
when you get to the major cards, they go above 10. And that's where I like to call it octaves. So if in the twos, you have the high priestess, which is 1 octave. It's kind of like music. I mean, music and numerology go together. Then you get to 11, which is justice. It's another octave on the 2. It's still the same vibration, but you jump up an octave, and then you'll get to judgment. So, you know, with the majors, you're bringing in also the octaves
Mhm.
too.
Yeah. So the only
It's
time you're
really
going to
cool.
get, but to further maybe put some point on that, in answering your question about larger numbers on the cards, it's really only in the majors where you're going to reduce a number down, because like Sharona said, we have ace through 10 in the minors. Now 10 is a special case in tarot. In
Reduce it.
classical numerology, there is no 10. You know, 1 plus 0 is 1, and that's it. Okay. Now there is well, you know, it's not entirely true, but it is like the number 50 reduces to 5. It's the 5 energy. But 0 is what we call in this is getting a little too deep, but just real quick, it's an enhancer energy. So anything that has a 0 after it is enhancer, and you can feel that. You can just feel 50 versus 5, right? But it's still the 5 energy. It's just being enhanced. And so 10 is an enhancement. And the way I describe it is it's that hairbreadth moment before the end of one cycle at 9 and the beginning of the next cycle at 1. And if you look at the 10 cards in the minor arcana, you get the feeling for it right away. It's overkill. I mean, a guy laying down with 10 swords in his back, you know, that's overkill, you know, carrying a bushel of, you know, 10 wands, stabs, you know, sticks, depending on the deck, you know. Another example, okay, take the 10 of cups. How is that overkill? Well, it looks all joyous and a happy situation, and you got the family, you got the mother and father, and you got the kids dancing, and the nice house in the background and everything. And often that's what the meaning of the card is when it comes up in a reading. And you're opening your house to other people is another meaning of that card, the 10 of cups. But it's also overkill. Is it keeping up with the Joneses? Is it this idyllic scene? Is this what everybody else is seeing? But then in the house, it's all screaming and yelling and chaos, you know? Is it too good to be true? Too good to be true. So it's not just like the obvious, which is 10 of swords is obviously overkill. There's an implied overkill in the more passive cards. You have active and passive. So swords and wands are active, and the cups and the pentacles or coins are the more passive. Let's look at the 10 of pentacles as an example. Another idyllic scene. I mean, you get the 10 of pentacles for someone, that's great. You know, I mean, they're creating family wealth or personal wealth, or, you know, it could be their investments coming in, you know, and there's all those pentacles, and notice on the Waite Smith version of the card, it's in the shape of what Sharona started talking about in the beginning, the tree of life, Kabbalah. So it looks really great, and you have these nicely dressed people, and you got the family patriarch there, and he's got the dogs, you know, and their pedigree, you know, $5,000 a piece dogs, and you know, I mean, it's like this idyllic scene and everything. But is there overkill going on there? Look a little closer in the image. You'll notice a couple of things, like the only person, or the only, I shouldn't say person, the only things paying attention, beings paying attention to the family patriarch are the dogs. His kids are not paying attention to him at all. They're in the background and seem to be having some kind of an argument going on, or at least some kind of discussion. You know, it's like, okay, when dad passes away, we get all that kind of thing. I mean, you know, what's really going on in that card? It could be a lot more than what you're getting at face value there, you know? So it's overkill. And that's why in tarot, us numerologists, we kind of give a pass on that word. Like, it's a special case with a number larger than a single digit. But in all other cases, you're going to reduce to a single digit and go with that energy. So you're sitting there with card 21, you're going to think of the 3 energy, you know. Oh, and just to give you guys a little hint, like I said earlier, we're going to do another workshop on master numbers and the court cards, but the court cards are the master numbers. So there's no number on a court card in almost any tarot deck I've ever seen anyway, but pages are 11, the master illuminator number. Knights are 22, the master builder number. The queens are that nurturing energy. They are 3 + 3 is 6. See, it's implied, you know, doing it that way, but we don't reduce master numbers typically. 33 is the master healer, master teacher number, and it's implied there, that healing energy, that nurturing energy. And then the kings, they're 44. That's the master manifester number. And 4 and 4 is 8, the number of abundance in numerology. So that's another way you can look at those cards when you get them. And you might not see it right now. We're gonna have to go through the workshop, you know, or if you're going through the course and you haven't gotten to the master numbers yet, there's more to learn on it. But you can still, even knowing as little as you know now, just me telling you what the names of those master numbers are: master illuminator, master builder, master teacher, healer, master manifester, and then sit down with the pages, the knights, the queens, the kings, you'll already start getting it. You'll already start getting it. What is something that people always say about pages? Learning, education, master illuminator. See, what do the knights do? They go out, they rush out, and they do things. They accomplish things. They are in the journeyman. You know, if you think of apprentice, they're in the journeyman area. They're the actual building, people building, doing things, you know. So master builder number, they're creating and building, you know. And then, you know, the queens, I mean, all you have to do is look at the Queen of Pentacles and you see what's going on. It, you know, the nerd, I always call that the mother card. So for me personally, Queen of Pentacles, mom, you know, and she's holding the pentacle, she's holding the coin like she's holding a baby. It's that implied nurture energy, and nurturing is implied in healing. And also as a master teacher. What do I mean by a master? What's that? You know, the master illuminator, thank you so much, Ron. The master illuminator number is teaching too. What's the difference? Well, the master illuminator, we're talking about smaller numbers of people. Teaching an apprentice, one other person, or maybe a group of 5, or maybe even up to as many as a couple hundred in a class or something like that. You know, the master teacher, master healer, is trying to teach and heal a lot more people, much, much bigger. That's why folks like us that have a life path 33, we build the big things. We want to build the big websites and the radio shows and reach a lot of people with great information, you know, and help heal the world. You know, we're thinking of the whole, you know, everybody, as opposed to, you know, just narrowly teaching this thing to this person at this time, you know, which is more the master illuminator number. And the opposite of it is also implied learning. So it's teaching and learning with the master illuminator at the page level. Oh, what's something else people say about pages? They could be messages. Well, isn't a message illuminating the person receiving the message? See, it's all the same thing. It's all implied there. So if you guys just sit with that for a while, you know, and think of the 44 master manifester, the kings. The king is the penultimate, you know. Think of the queens, 33, master teacher, master healer, master builder number 22, the knights, and the master illuminator 11. And then we'll go all over this again in a workshop in the future, but I just wanted you to have that so that you can see that there's numbers with every card. We reduce the higher numbers down to single digits. The minors are obviously all the single digits, and then 10. And then you've got the core cards. They have the master numbers 11, 22, 33, 30, and 44. So this will inform you going forward as you get somebody, a client's birth date, and calculate out their life path and their attitude number, their personal year, and so forth like that. Any other questions? Anybody got their mic open? I don't see anybody. I hope nobody's trying to open their mic and they're not able to do it. But if you have a problem, you know, just click on chat and type in the chat box here if you have a question real quick. And otherwise, we're going to wrap things up now. We went about a half hour longer than we were planning, but this is so much fun. Just love hanging out with you guys and all. And oh, if you think of something after the workshop and it's like tomorrow or the next day or something, and it's like, oh, damn, I could have asked. Yeah, shoot me an email. The best way to contact me is through my page, dax.thetarotguild.com. You know, my page right there on the Tarot Guild has a big blue message me button, and you can send me a message right on the Tarot Guild website. Otherwise, that's pretty fast. The fastest way, of course, is just sending me a message on Messenger. Facebook Messenger is another way of doing it. And oh, something's popping up there. Great workshop from, oh, okay. Ellie and everyone. And see if there's anything else in here. Thanks so much, Ellie. Yeah. And you know, if you think of anything, just shoot me a message, and we might include it in like the next Q&A, you know, bring it up so that it gets recorded. Or like I said before, on the, you know, if you're watching an archive, you're already on the page. So on this page below the video is going to be the 5 PDF handouts. So you can grab those. And then down below that is a comment section. And of course, you can ask questions in there. Or if you contact me, I can send you an answer back, and then I can go and put it in the comments, you know, as well. So, well, thanks everybody. Sharona, thanks for being here to help out a little bit. And any final words you got?
Well, we did leave out one card, which is the Fool.
Oh yeah, let's talk about
which is one of the most important cards. Now, when we were talking about 10, you know, and the 0, he's the Fool is considered the 0 card. So he's kind of like when you get to the end of it enhances any cycle and gives you the opportunity that, like the Fool, you always get a chance to start over. So he's my favorite card, or she's my favorite card.
Right. And, you know, all of this is, I should just end every workshop with this, because all of this is you are creating your own language of tarot to embed in your own subconscious mind so you can do great readings. And does not matter. I mean, what we've just said, you may have a completely different interpretation on, and that's perfectly fine as long as you're consistent and use the same thing. All right. So when you look at the Fool card, you may think of it in terms of it's the 22nd card. So it's a 4 energy and it's the master builder number. And it actually fits. It actually fits, you know, because what really is zero? Zero is, they don't talk about zero in classic Pythagorean numerology, but it's the void. And it's not the Western interpretation of the void, which is a complete absence of anything. It's actually everything, but not formed yet. Okay. So it makes sense that 22, the master builder number, and the Fool card having all potential of everything in the entire deck, you know, anything could be manifested, you know, it just fits perfectly. Or you can go so far as to reduce, you know, call it the 22nd card, reduce to 4 structure. That fits too. It fits too. But generally, when I teach about the Fool card, I go with the void and how the zero is like the Vesica, I can't say it, from sacred geometry, the Vesica Pisces, and it, you know, it's like the womb of the universe, and it's out of which everything comes. It's the classic Eastern version of the term void, meaning all possibilities. It's just amorphous right now. It hasn't gelled. It hasn't been formed into something, because you have to have what? The magician. You have to have one. You have to have a starting place, and the magician's there, and he has all of the elements, all 5 platonic solids, and he's able to manifest anything he wants out of the void. So that's why card number 1 comes right after the void, because you have to start manifesting. And a lot of people talk about a thing called the Fool's Journey. And the thing about the Fool card being 0, they say it could be anywhere in the 21 cards of the major arcana, and it could be anywhere, and it's a progression, it's a learning process, all that. I agree with all of that, except I don't. Oh, wait, let me rephrase this. Okay. Is there the Fool's Journey, and can you learn a lot from it? Absolutely. You know, I don't teach the Fool's Journey because I like to think of it as the magician's journey. Because the very first card in every suit is 1. And it's the magician and the 4 aces. And each ace representing one of the elements, which is on his table, that he's going to manipulate and manifest something. And so for me, tarot is more about creating the future than predicting the future. And we'll leave it with that. We'll see you all next time. Thanks everybody for being here. Bye, Sharona. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Dax. Bye, everyone. Thank you.